Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and welcome to the Spiritual Awakener podcast. This is a podcast where I get to interview really amazing people. I feel very honored to interview them. They've all had a spiritual awakening. They're all here so that you could understand more about who you are, how you can spread your message with the world as they spread their message with the world. Coming from a scientific background myself and blending the science and the spiritual, my next guest is completely right up my street. So I would love to introduce beautiful Fatima to the Spiritual Awakener podcast, where she is going to talk to us about her spiritual awakening, her story, and how she helps you, the collective. Fatima, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the Spiritual Awakener podcast and reaching out to us. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Susan. It's actually amazing to have you do something like this. And I'm really glad that you're doing this, and to be given this opportunity to share this message as well is really a blessing.
Well, we always believe that the universe lines up when we're meant to communicate and connect in with those that are in our soul family, we would call it, wouldn't we? Like we were
Yeah,
meant to attract, we're meant to meet each other. And if you're here in this moment in time, then this is divinely ordered, as we know.
definitely.
So, so Fatima, just say I'm in the UK, and so whereabouts are you?
Okay, so I'm in Singapore. Uh, it seems pretty far, but it's still all just a small world after all.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. No distance, right? There's,
no,
energy and time is in one place, isn't it? In every moment. And we are in this now moment. And I could be in Singapore with you there. You could be in the UK here. It doesn't matter. We are literally just at one in this moment. So beautiful that you're there. So, Fatima, what would you say was the key thing of your spiritual awakening? And how could you tell my audience who you really are? So, I'm known as a spiritual scientist. What are you known as?
okay. So if what I was known as, I would just tell people that to be, put it plain and simple, I'm human just like everybody else. Yes, I have a title. I am actually a neuroscientist by profession, and I have learned from my life experiences, and that's what gave me my spiritual awakening moment. And where I come from, I teach people how your life situations actually help you come from your heart and realign back with your mind in order to go back to your heart and create that connection. So I teach people how to be able to use their own concepts, not to just sit in it and think, what have I done or what has
Yeah.
happened, but what can I do from it and who I can become. And we all have that.
Yeah.
So to put it in a concept, that was how I will say it,
Mm.
but it's a very simple notion of, that's what I use. I'm just your day-to-day person that you meet
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
but
Same.
I have that spirit, exactly, but I have that same spiritual benefit that awakened people do, and everybody gets a chance at it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
I love that, Fatima. And it is, I
thank
think it is time, isn't it, to pass everything through our heart now, really
yeah,
to come into that unity consciousness,
right,
as we are going through an incredible awakening on this planet, and we're recording this on the 15th of March, 2022. And 2022, just in my view, in my opinion, is really about unity. It's
yeah,
not only coming together with your perhaps divine complement, but it's also unity consciousness where we're coming together with like-minded souls. Yeah.
right.
So, what would you say was your awakening or dark night of the soul?
Okay, so my story is pretty pretty, I wouldn't say so hard to understand, but it had a lot of story to it. Like I grew up as always looking for love. Not that I didn't get it. I had a perfect family. I had everything, but I was always so encompassed. I loved people. I loved new things. I loved creating. I was a bit different. I always wanted to help people. I could never figure out what I wanted to become. And eventually, as you grow up, I felt like I had this desire, okay, I need more and more, but more of what? I wanted to help people more. So what I kept doing was I felt like it was, oh, maybe it's just study more. So I reached a level that I had educated myself to there's nowhere left to go, but I never actually felt fulfilled.
That's
I
interesting. I
never
just want to
did.
pick up
Yeah,
on that bit there because the
sure.
bit that I was hearing was, and I educated myself that there was kind of really nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
And I get you on that because, like you, I have that kind of background, and it's almost like we're just finding out more, we're learning more, we're remembering more, we're bringing more in, and it gets to the point where actually it's accessing the wisdom within, isn't it? And no longer
right.
the degrees and the qualifications and the this and the, it's like no amount of degrees actually allow you
Can
to access that
replace
wisdom,
that
right?
feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So so I reached that point and I was like, why am I doing all of this? What's the
Mm,
purpose? And I'm still not feeling
yeah.
fulfilled. So anyway, you go on with life and eventually you realize, okay, the time comes, you have to get married, you have to have a family, then you just do it. Then from
Mm,
there, I progressed on, went on to different countries to work. And I guess I still felt unfulfilled, although I was in a relationship that was lovable and I was giving a lot of love. But one day, what happened was really out of the blue, out of nowhere. Um, without, I had something that was like the perfect relationship, like no one could ever imagine. And one day out of the blue, I found out something, and let's say the universe pulled the rug under my feet with one tug.
wow.
Okay.
So what
Everything,
happened, Fatima? Because I know that
yeah. So,
it's good to
yeah.
be, it's good to be really honest and authentic. And there'll be lots
Yes.
of people that
Yes.
listen to this and say, well, what was it that pulled the rug from under her feet? And everyone's got the fantasy going right now. So
Mm.
including me. So what was that thing?
Right. Okay. So what exactly happened was that um, I was in a perfect marriage where, in the sense that everything was so beautiful, you just blindsided. You do not see anything, although intuition always tells you something's not right. And
Right.
everyone around saw, oh, wow, if we want to be in a marriage, this would be the marriage that we wanted to be. And there came a day where I got a call. I got a call from someone else telling me that everything I lived was a lie
Wow.
in the marriage. So I had known my ex-husband for about 10 years,
Right.
and we had been married for 5. Uh, we didn't have kids at that
Hmm.
point.
Hmm.
Um, but we came from beautiful families. Everyone was
Hmm. Hmm.
accepting out of everybody.
Hmm.
And when it happened, the person who gave me the call was the person involved in it for a good 5 years as well. So I
Wow. I
had
mean,
no
that's just
clue. There
like,
was no chance. There was no
like you
chance
hear
at
this,
all.
Fatima, like you hear these stories and you just think,
Yeah,
like, how do you not know? But I think
right.
your soul knows and your heart
That
knows,
something's not
but you
right.
don't, because like you're saying, like everything's perfect, like or or seemingly perfect. It appears that way. And so you just get on with your life, right?
Yes.
Gosh, something in
I
my throat.
oh, I hope you feel better. I guess because usually when this happens, your eyes are open, but
Yeah.
the eyes in your heart is shut.
Yeah.
So you're
Oh, I
looking
like that. I
what
like that.
everybody's, yeah, you're
Mm.
looking at what everybody's looking at, but you're
Yeah.
refusing to look what's really happening. So,
Wow.
but honestly speaking, if you look from an eye view, no
Mm.
chance.
No, you wouldn't
So
have known.
when,
Yeah.
yeah, not at all. So when this happened, it actually happened the day before my birthday. And
How
on
old
the
were you?
day of,
Just out of interest, because
oh,
there's the
okay.
whole
So
Saturn.
I was 31.
Yeah, because there's a Saturn return, which is
Yeah,
around about 27 to 30. Well, I'm an astrologer, right? And
period.
that was my spiritual waking around about 27, 28. So yours was around about the same time. And it's almost like the rug, was
Right.
pulled from under my feet. Obviously, my, friend took his life. Yeah, that was that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yours was actually a realization of, well, what is love, right? And you'd spent your
Yeah.
whole life, what is love? Well, your soul obviously decided to experience, actually,
Right.
well, you're going to say it, but the love comes from within, right? Not without.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happened then? What happened to you? Did you stay?
Yeah. So what happened was actually a week before the event occurred, I had no clue, but I'm close to my mom. And
Mm,
I called her and I said, I don't know why. I've never been wrong. My intuition is always strong. I feel like I've been hit by a bus. I don't know
mm,
what's going to
mhm,
happen,
mhm.
but it feels bad.
Yeah,
And
bless you.
the day before my birthday, when I found out that story 2 hours before that, I woke up that morning and I said to God, this is the last day before I turn this age. And I
Mm,
said, if there's one thing I could do, it's to help someone in any way that I can today. And on that day when I found out, that was the exact same day because uh, at that point I had just gotten a job, so he hadn't moved to Singapore yet, so we were
yeah.
traveling back and
Hmm.
forth between countries.
Yeah.
And when he came, and he was in the bus on the way, and he said, look, let me come and explain to you and I'll tell you everything. I have nothing to hide, but what you heard is true. And he said, and I was very
Wow.
broken, and I said, and he said, look, if you don't want me to come, I'm not getting the bus. And I said, no, get on the bus because you need to explain.
Yeah.
And and at that point I just said to myself, everybody thought this was going to happen, that I would chase him out the door, we would
Mm,
have our says, and it will be done because
yeah.
he has a sibling here, so he'd have a place to
Right.
stay.
Yeah.
But somehow I couldn't, and I said, this is a marriage. The least I can do is sit down, try
Hmm.
and make it work, and figure it out.
Wow. Wow.
and and yes, and that night he still slept on the same bed. I still gave him a chance to explain. I didn't treat him like as if he has to go and stay somewhere. I
Yeah.
knew at that point that I had this much love for anybody, and
Wow. I
it
mean, that
came from a heart space.
some might say, Fatima, that in that moment, and this is just, if we were looking at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
3D
yeah,
experience of human, we're
yes,
looking at 3D experience of human is that, well, you gave your power away in that moment, right? That's just how the
right,
3D might see. But
right,
in the fifth dimension, and obviously, in our soul's consciousness,
right,
there would have been an aspect. So if you're listening to this, guys, that doesn't mean that if this has happened to you, you need to accept that. That's your journey. Your journey
yes,
needs to be your journey. But in
yes,
Fatima's case, it was about her soul's path of compassion and forgiveness. I'm hearing from my guides. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So of course it comes back down to the soul knowing that as much as I can do, I have to treat someone like a human, not
yeah,
because of the prospect I'm giving the power away. But then you come back because I wasn't awakened yet at that point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then you come back and I almost want to give up my job and try and go and make
Mm,
this work and head
yeah,
back. But
yeah.
the more I kept praying, I kept praying to God, and I asked God in the sense of asking the universe. And I said, you know, let me come back to the 5D and let me think again, what would a 5D person do? And at that point, I said, I've tried my best, because they all kept, including him and everybody else, kept pushing that this is not going to end. And even he said, no, I can't do this anymore. Marriage is not for me.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was like gone, gone. No matter what you can do, I tried. I tried for about, let's say, 2 months. And then I said, look, I'm
Mm,
human as well.
yeah, yeah,
And I have the
absolutely.
power, and I gave full forgiveness. Till today, I'm friends with all their family. I'm
Yeah.
friends with everyone.
Wow.
And
Did
I
he give
moved on.
did he give a reason of why, did he know that person before you got married? Did he, was
Yes.
he, how did it work? What was the reason?
Okay, so he did know that person before
Mm,
that, but more than that, he was someone naturally who had that behavior, just that
mm,
he really did his best to try and change, but everyone has their
mm,
life of what their best
mhm,
is.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I
mhm.
guess some people can't take the chance to make the change, but some, I guess that's what they choose. So there was
Yeah,
no way.
absolutely. You've got
And
to
this
want to
and this
change.
woman, to be fair, this is what I hold
Mm,
till today. I always say I'd rather have him after this whole process. The blessing is always there. That if he
mm,
maintains that, I'd rather have him go to her, because she
mm,
came from an abusive relationship of a husband and a marriage. And she
mm.
found solace in that situation, and she had a child. And I said, look, that boy has no clue who his dad really is, because it changed halfway as he was growing. And you spent
Wow.
enough time there, and
Yeah.
there's no way that when she was calling me and she said, look, stop taking and doing this and wanting him and changing his mind to come back to you, because
Mm,
I have a son, and my son, and she told him that. She said, my son calls you dad. And at
wow.
that point, it was heartbreaking to listen. But
Mm, mm,
till
mm.
today, to tell you, I'd rather say this: never spoil a child who's innocent and who
Mm,
there's no clue. So for
yeah.
me, it was something simple to do. What y'all do in that and your
Mm,
decision is not
yeah.
my accord. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. And that's
my
why I
part is
said
just
that,
forgiveness, yes, and trying
Yeah.
my part.
Yeah.
And then I walk away with
Wow.
dignity. You just walk away. You don't fight. You don't argue. You make your
Wow.
move. You progress on with life. So
Yeah.
after that, only then did my spiritual awakening begin,
Wow.
because I cried to God and I said, look, there has to be a purpose that I'm here, because I still
Mm-hmm.
can't find an answer. And that was when I woke up the next day
Yeah.
feeling, I can't explain this. It's to say eternal bliss, a love and compassion that you only feel from God.
Yeah.
You
A very
can't
different
explain.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like you're walking on air for
Mm-hmm.
one complete day. Like there was no worry. I was like, what happened to me? This just happened to me yesterday. Wasn't the I was crying my heart out. And but I knew at that point when I cried my heart out, I spoke from somewhere so far within.
Yeah.
It was of something I couldn't describe. And then the next day I was just like flying in the air, and I was like, okay, this is not happening. But I took it as it came, and and I went on. I someone who never have so I have partial ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
so which means I can't do many things for very long. So meditation was very, very
Yeah.
difficult, and I never even tried it.
I think a lot
But
of people find meditation really
yeah,
hard, and I think there is in the old days I did transcendental meditation, which is really good for people because it stops them from thinking, with the non-semantic mantra. But I think that nowadays we don't, we can do walking meditation. We can go for a walk by the sea or a walk,
Exactly.
we don't have to call it, some people might disagree with me, and that's fine, but we don't have to call it meditation in a way, because it's
Yeah,
actually just spending that peace time, isn't it? It could be washing up,
exactly.
it could be doing, cleaning your car, it could be anything, but just being in those thoughts and in that moment is meditation in
Right,
itself, right?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, so what happened was the next day, I didn't even know I was meditating. I just closed my eyes
Mm.
and all I did was no music, nothing. I went into a higher state of consciousness without even realizing.
Wow.
I didn't see anything or anyone. All I saw was myself sitting on a rock on the beach.
Wow.
And I was clueless as to why I was seeing what I was seeing when I first experienced that. And as I went further to just walk with it and see where it goes, I saw that I reached myself. And I reached and I actually hugged myself. And
Wow.
I said, what you're seeking so much in love is actually within you itself.
This is what we said right at
And
the top.
yes,
Amazing.
yeah. And if there's anyone you
Yeah.
need to forgive, it's yourself.
Alf, yes. I completely hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
there's anyone you need to love, what you've been finding for has always been within you. So
Mm.
just love yourself. So that was the day I met my higher self.
Wow.
And then from there, that
Mm.
whole day, I cried non-stop, not because of sadness,
No.
not because of anything.
Yeah.
I just couldn't explain. It just all came out. And after
Yeah.
that, I built my life from there. And
Wow.
today I realize one thing and only one thing. What you're
Mm.
seeking for is always within you.
Yeah.
You need to face the reality
Mm.
of your own mind in order to enter your heart. And
Yeah.
then when it aligns, you can't stay in the 5D. You
Yeah.
need to come back here and
Yeah.
still be there. So if people ask me, where are you? Are you in the skies? Because my mom always jokes. She says, are you in the skies or are you on earth? Then I say, Mom, I'm always in between.
Yeah.
I'm neither here nor am I there.
Yeah.
The connection should never break. You got to be grounded because you're human. You will always be
I
here.
agree.
Experiences always happen. There'll
Yeah.
be sadness, there'll be happiness, but always see your life situation as a chance to move forward.
And what's coming to me as well, to pick up on what you were saying there, is
Yeah,
that lots of people, are going through the dark night of the soul. They're really
right,
awakening and pulling out things they don't need, relationships, jobs, whatever it might be.
right,
And when you remember who you truly are as a divine being of light, just choosing to be human at this time, you it just makes everything so much easier.
yes,
Because you're not we're
yeah,
not seeing ourselves as, this robotic kind of, thing that's walking about the world
right,
reacting to everything. We're observing, we are the observer. And as we're the observer, I liken it to sort of being on a stage. Like, we can either choose to be on the stage of life, or we can observe and choose where we want to place ourselves. But those roles that we're all playing are all perfect, but we can choose whether to react to them, or we can
right,
choose. And that I feel is that part of us that remembers that we are this, without this jacket, this incredible being of light, just choosing a vehicle, which is obviously, our physical body, just to be on our mission. which is to be
right.
of service without sacrifice, but to be of service and to shine our light. So Fatima, well, that was beautiful. So how do you, we're going to get on to your book and your cards in a moment, but how
Yeah,
do you
sure.
help people? How do you help people to feel what you feel or experience what you experience? What do you do? How does it look for people?
Yeah. So I always tell them this. So I do channel messages, but they are, I wouldn't say they are specific for people in their situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I get messages based on who I'm talking to, and I always ask them to tell me after that, look, this is what I get. Is it real or is it not?
Mm-hmm.
And usually the initial stage frightens them because it's the truth that they are hiding. So it's something
Wow.
that they go like, okay, I don't even think I've told this to anyone. And then they just keep silent because
Yeah.
you see it in people's
Like
eyes. But
recognition.
yeah.
Mm.
And you tell them, look, don't be afraid, because I always say this. I'm
Wow.
trying to help you see your life situation. So I try and let people see their life situation. And I
Mm.
tell them, look, this is what you can do. And this is how much you can do. Your job is to make that change. I can't be that change for you,
Yeah.
but I can assist you, and I can be there as long as you want me to assist you. Once you push
Yeah.
back and you keep pushing back, you yourself will realize you're stopping me. And I don't force you, I
Mm.
give you solutions,
Yeah.
and I help them just figure out, how do you make something out of nothing?
Yeah.
Because right now they're in that mindset. Usually
It's
when it
nothing.
happens, everyone's in that mindset that it's
Yeah.
nothing. But they
Yeah.
have to realize one thing: nothing is everything.
Yeah.
It's
And
the solution.
like you
Yeah,
had to, like I had to as well, but like you had to, and you had to say, well, actually, I'm
yeah,
almost like I'm surrendering this to God or to source, whatever people believe
right,
when you're listening. But surrendering, trust and surrendering and saying, well, there must be something else. As they're finding you because they needed to hear
yeah,
that message,
yes,
right? And
right,
God, source energy, guides, our inner guidance, higher self has guided us to
right,
find and hear that message, right?
right, right.
So, Fatima, you have a book, I Am You, You Are Me. And actually, what's really interesting is that that's what I say to my clients.
Oh,
I actually say, you know, I'm you and you are me. You are my
yeah,
children. My children are you. So when we're working together and my members as well, my soul family, I'm always saying that. And it almost takes away, it's not responsibility, but it is a unity, which we said right at the top, unity consciousness, isn't it? Where there is no separation. So I love this. So the title of your book is I Am You and You Are Me. And you also created, and I'm so excited about this, guys, because I mentioned about this beautiful Shades of Gold tarot deck. And Fatima is actually gifting me these. So when you come on my astrology events, because I always do a card reading on them, as soon as I've received these, I'll be saying that these are Fatima's cards and I'm using them for in fact, I might invite you on my astrology event the day that I get
oh,
them,
big
Fatima.
great. Yeah.
And you can come on and I can acknowledge you for creating them. Okay, so it is about, the reason why Fatima authored this is because she wants to spread the light to the world. She wants to spread that message. So, how can they get your book, Fatima?
Yeah. So the book is available on Amazon.
Perfect.
I'm You, I mean, it's also available on Barnes and Nobles,
Yeah.
and it's also available on my website.
Oh,
That's
fantastic. And your
FMNA.
website
Yeah.
is?
My website is fmna1808.com.
Okay, can you say that slowly?
Yeah. So it's FMNA1808.com.
Okay, excellent. But they can find I Am You and You Are Me on Amazon. That's brilliant. And this will all be in the show
Yeah,
notes
yeah.
anyway.
It's
Okay.
all on Amazon. Yeah.
So so is there a way they can contact you, Fatima? People can contact you, but is there a way that you can maybe do you have a free gift or anything that you can offer just my audience or
Yes. So here's the thing. I always say this, almost everything I own and do for now is free. I
yeah.
have not charged for anything apart from the Shades of Gold Tarot, which we launched on Kickstarter and it was successfully funded. Thank the people who did it.
There we are.
So
Yeah.
for anybody who can support the message that we sent, that we want to share,
Yeah.
uh, let's just say what we have things to offer, definitely,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they themselves coming and wanting to do it and helping spread that message is also a benefit by itself. Look at it more that way, but we
Hmm.
definitely have things to offer, that's for sure.
Amazing. So people can, if they feel drawn to contact you,
Yeah,
which I'm sure you'll get many people, but if they feel drawn to contact you, obviously what we would love is if they would like to buy your book or your cards um,
sure.
as an exchange. And I think kind of exchanges are really important with the
Yes,
universe.
yes,
And then maybe you can give them their channeled message and you
sure.
know how they can go about that. So I
We
think
have
that's
that.
really
Yes,
beautiful. Yeah,
we
that's really
definitely
beautiful.
have that. Yes.
So, so Fatima, what I would love is if you could share a beautiful message with my audience. So let's just see, you know, what comes through, and maybe it might be something about, you know, perhaps what's happening in the world at the moment. You know, maybe something just to give people a sense of hope and love within. So would that be okay?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, sure. Yeah. So what I would like to say is this, just like what you experience every day, there will be chaos everywhere. It's not in your control, but you can control only you. And the only way to start is by going within and then coming out. And you can only do that when you start with your mind to free yourself and then enter into your heart and spread the love. Everything around you still will not cease to exist, but your existence is going to make a difference. You do this only for yourself, and you're already doing it for everybody else.
Wow. I love that message. And so, you know, if you're listening to this and you've been thinking, how can I fix the problem in the world? You know, at the moment it's Ukraine, Russia, you know, whatever it might be. How can I fix this? It's not about that. It's about coming, this is what I'm hearing from Fatima. It's about coming within and really taking that time for you and to realize that your inner peace is your answer to your outer peace.
Yes.
Fatima, thank you so much. I have absolutely loved our conversation. If you're listening to this and you feel a drawing or a resonance with Fatima, and you know maybe to go and get her book and read what she's got to say, because everything I feel that she is saying is coming through her is divine channeled wisdom. And we all have that. We are all divine beings and we are all a channel for source. It's just sometimes we forget that incredible power that we have within to be of assistance to others. And that's truly what our mission is. So, Fatima, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Spiritual Awakener podcast. Is there anything last that you'd like to say before we say goodbye to my audience?
I would like to say thank you so much, Susan, for doing this entire thing. It's an honor to be on your show. And what you're doing really does change people's life. It gives people a voice to speak, and continue doing it. And we hope there'll be more people who actually start opening their heart's eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's all open our hearts to new beginnings, new openings, and new remembering of who we are. So thank you for listening to the Spiritual Awakener podcast. If you have a podcast idea or an awakening story that you would like to share with my audience, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at susankennard.co.uk. And also, if you would like to awaken the light within your heart, you can find my free gift on my website, where I have a 3-part video series where you can learn to connect with your own inner guidance, the messages in your body, and the guides that help you. Much love for now, and thank you again for being on the Spiritual Awakener.